Did you know that the phrase from hand to mouth originated as a military campaign strategy and not as a characterization for the severe incidents of abject poverty humanity has had to endure throughout the history of man? For some strange reasons, we have always connected this phrase with lack, famine, or abject poverty. From hand to mouth is a military construction. This strategy is the strategy that any serious general must consider when they are assembling members of their troops ready for battle. It's important as a small business owner to also be aware that you should consider this strategy when you're putting together your team, when you're putting together members of your staff, when you're putting together members of your board, when you're putting together your shareholders. This is a strategy that works all the time. The year is 1184, and Jerubbaal is assembling an army to go against their enemies for the last 7 years, the Midianites. The Midianites were a strange people that their own concern, their sole concern, was to impoverish this nation. They were to choke their economic productivity. It is funny how sometimes even our own enemies in our present times, they are after different things. Some are after your reputation. Some are after your supply chains. Some are after your people, your colleagues. Some are after your members of staff. Some are poaching people so as to cripple your entrepreneurial prospects. So Jerubbaal has put together this army. The first encounter we have with Jerubbaal, Jerubbaal is pressing wheat at the winepress. And he has an amazing conversation with a celestial being that makes him get this impression that the celestial world have an impression of him being a mighty man of valor. Sometimes fear has a way of masquerading strength. Sometimes confusion has a way of masquerading order. Sometimes invention masquerades in stupidity or the things that we do that we cannot explain. So Jerubbaal goes in that understanding that it is upon him to deliver his people. So he goes, he numbers 32,000 people. Jehovah God comes to observe the 32,000 people, and he says, these people are too numerous. Allow me to give you a backstory. The Midianites are described as an army without number. Their horses, their camels were without number. The Midianites are so numerous that they are exemplified as sand on the seashore. But Jehovah God comes and feels that 32,000 people are too many for Midianites. Upon this point, we need to ask ourselves a question. Is it possible sometimes to be too overqualified for success? Sometimes, is it possible that you might be too talented for success? Might you be too educated for success? Might you be too knowledgeable for success? Sometimes, is it advisable to camouflage your successes? Sometimes, is it advisable to camouflage your qualities, your traits, your merit? Jerubbaal is told, this is how we are going to weed them out. Just have a conversation with the people and tell them, how many of you here are fearful? To which 20,000 people raise their hands. And Jerubbaal is told, just allow them to go back to their families. He's left with 12,000 people. Of the 12,000 people, Jehovah God still comes and tells them, there are too many for me. Sometimes success is sure by how agile you are, how light you are, the intensity of decision making. If you are supposed to move 300 people, it is easy to move 300 people, like against moving 12,000 people. Jerubbaal is given a strategy that take them to drink. Up to this time, Jerubbaal has starved these people, trying to get them into the mindset of warfare. So he takes them to a stream, a brook, and he's told, this is how now I want you to number the people. Yes, ask them to drink. Sometimes you need to be very careful when things are asked of you. When you're asked to do something, sometimes you need to be very careful. Do not be too comfortable at the expense of the vetting process that you're going through. So Jerubbaal asked them to drink. And he's told, the ones that will lap water from their hands to their mouth, the ones who will be lapping water as dogs, checking their environments, they're the ones that you're supposed to put on one side. The ones that will come and bow, mark you, these people are starved. Their throats are parched. And he's told that the ones that are coming to bow, burying their heads in the water, after they are done, put them on the side. The ones that lapped from their hands to their mouth, they are only 300. The ones that buried their heads in the water, sometimes whatever might appear as sustenance is not sustenance. Do not get too comfortable in the artificial, and through your comfort of the artificial, you let go of that which is permanent. He is told, the ones that buried their heads, the ones that left their defense, them, please set them home. The third test is what is called the test of leadership, the test of courage. Can you go against an army that you cannot number with only 300 people? Now that is the test of the leader. Can you go at an organization that has existed for 30 years while yours has only existed for 3 months? Can you go at a people so numerous over above what you have? Sometimes over-reliance in your own ingenuity might actually be your downfall. Sometimes there is a very tight tension that we constantly need to maintain between being timid. There's a difference between being inadequate, having a sense of inadequacy at an individual level, and having self-confidence. Those are 3 of the important tests that you as a small business owner should constantly be conducting. How to weed out the people that you're supposed to retain from the people you're supposed to let go. It's very interesting to note that light is always called out of darkness. We don't call darkness out of light. That truth is always called out of falsehood. We don't call falsehood out of truth. That is how we came up with that phrase, from hand to mouth. From hand to mouth is when you are identifying people to identify with, people to retain as your workforce, as your labor force, as people that you want to regard as, these are my partners in entrepreneurship. They are people who constantly make themselves uncomfortable by constantly being vigilant of their environment. They don't get too comfortable with where they are. They don't get too comfortable with appearance of comfort, appearance of sustenance, appearance of fulfillment. That is how we got the phrase from hand to mouth. Because whenever you're looking at people, look for people that constantly lap, as they are vigilant of their environment, as they are vigilant of what the enemy might be doing, what a competitor might be doing. My name is Ogwang, and just in case you might need help with you developing strategies around intellectual property for competitiveness, that is what we do for business owners like yourself. We help you convert your intellectual property as a competitive strategy. My name is Ogwang, and I would like to interact with you in the comment section. In what ways do you deem yourself to be lapping in the marketplace? I will see you in the next one. Until then, take care. God bless and bye-bye.